Hello, this is Dave Sugarbaker, and the day is Sunday, the 26th of March, 2023. And I have this from Paul's letter to the Corinthians, and Paul did a lot of teaching with the early church about what they ought to do and what they ought not to do. And this is something about diversity. 1 Corinthians 12 to 18. For just as the body is one and has many members, and all the members of the body, though many, are one body, so it is with Christ. For in the one Spirit we were all baptized into one body, Jews or Greeks, slaves or free, and we were all made to drink of one Spirit. Indeed, the body does not consist of one member, but many. If the foot would say, because I am not a hand, I do not belong to the body, that would not make it any less a part of the body. And if the ear would say, because I am not an eye, I do not belong to the body, that would not make it any less a part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the hearing be? If the whole body were hearing, where would the sense of smell be? But as it is, God arranged the members of the body, each one of them, as he chose. Now I want to start today with a joke, and bear with me. This is a joke that has kind of it's a tragedy, but it's also comedy. A busload of church ladies was returning from a state conference, and in a tragic accident, the bus was hit head-on by a cement truck, and all of the ladies were killed. When these 60 souls arrived simultaneously at the pearly gates, there was a breakdown in the computer system that ran admissions to heaven, and St. Peter and his staff couldn't process any of these church ladies into heaven, and so they were sent, at least temporarily, to hell. The devil was more than ready to roast the new arrivals, but a week later, the devil placed a call to St. Peter. When can you take these church ladies off my hands? St. Peter chuckled. What's the matter? You can't handle a bunch of church ladies? And the devil said, no, I can't. They've organized 2 rummage sales so far and 7 bake sales. They're holding a bazaar in a couple days, and the fried chicken suppers start next week. By the end of the month, they're going to have enough money raised to air condition the whole place. That's the power of church ladies. I recently heard about a friend of my younger daughter in Alaska. She was sharing news from her friend, whom we used to know. In fact, we had met her first in Australia. But this young woman has since married and has 2 children, and her husband recently had shoulder surgery. And after the surgery, things were not healing up the way they were supposed to. After a good deal of medical sleuthing, the answer was finally out. It was long COVID getting in the way somehow of this man's healing after surgery. That was a real surprise. But COVID has a lot of after effects. I had a moderate case of COVID myself, which eventually went away. I certainly wouldn't wish COVID on my worst enemy. The after effects of COVID, for me, left me with blood clots in my lungs. As it turns out, COVID increases the risks of blood clots. My symptom was extreme fatigue, and I would get so winded climbing a flight of stairs that I'd have to stop halfway up and recover and huff and puff. The blood clots were preventing me from getting air into my system. Pretty basic. Simple blood thinners were the answer to the problem, and my symptoms were relieved within 24 hours. But COVID's after effects almost got me. I was really lucky. To this day, I remember being so out of breath that I couldn't walk from my car to the front door of the fresh market where I usually got baked goods for Elaine and me. I don't have a current problem, but the memory of the disability sneaks up on me sometimes. I think that's called PTSD. COVID's after effects may be affecting us as a community as well. Sociologists are saying that community organizations have lost 30% or more of their membership participation due to the pandemic. I know churches are feeling the shrinkage as well. Church attendance has declined markedly since the pandemic. We would like to think that we're no longer living in pandemic times. But the worst of the pandemic may be behind us, but we're still having 1,700 COVID deaths per week in the United States, according to the latest reports in March. Both churches that I serve faced a challenge recently. In both congregations, a well-loved member passed away, not from COVID. But the pattern for the church was to host a dinner for the family and friends following the funeral service. With post-COVID participation down and numbers depleted, could we still do a dinner? We just don't have the people that we used to have, I heard. Could the church offer this symbol of love and support to those families in the midst of their loss? In both cases, both churches said resoundingly, well, yes, we can still do it. There was some rearrangement of who did what and when and how, but these changes were okay, and the families in both cases were given the gift of a nice meal after the service of thanks for their loved one. But it's not just the food. It's an expression of support and love that's just part of who we are as a church. First, we offered our sanctuary as a place to gather for the service. Our sanctuaries are sacred space because of what happens there. There have been so many occasions over time when our community has gathered to say, thank God for his or her life. In the one congregation, it's been for 200 years already. So we offer to share our holy space for these gatherings. And then we go further. We say, come and sit down for a while and talk with friends and family about what you remember. Talk about what you're feeling. Give voice to some of your fears. Do that nourishing human thing of breaking bread together. Don't worry about the nuts and bolts. We'll take care of all of that. You just concentrate on putting one foot in front of the other for right now. That's what we do. And when we do that for families, our kitchens and our fellowship halls become sacred space as well. We can still make those gifts to family members at the time of their loss. Maybe we can't do it the way we used to do it, but we can and have found new ways to offer the same love and support that we used to offer. We do it because we're a church, and that's what churches do. Now, God bless you. Stay safe. Remember, the 1,700 a week is nothing to sneeze at. If you find value here, I'd appreciate it if you would pass it on. Share it with somebody who you think would also appreciate it. And you can always find the sermons now, again, on Facebook, and they're a link back to YouTube, but it doesn't make any difference. You can find them and access them through Facebook. So hang in there, take care, and God bless you.